And good afternoon. Welcome to Luke with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590. I'm here with the Chief Executive Officer of the Kennett Board of Public Works, Jamie Chester. Jamie, may I call you Jamie?
Absolutely.
Welcome to the booth.
Thank you, sir.
Jamie, first of all, tell us a little bit about Jamie Chester. I know a lot of people in the area are familiar with Jamie, but for some of our listeners, they may not know you as well as I do. Tell the listeners a little bit about Jamie Chester.
So I'm a 93 grad from Kennett High School, joined the Navy, did that bit for a while, got out, went to SEMO, got a degree there, worked in aviation for a while, came to work at the Board of Public Works, worked here for 11 years, got into healthcare, did that for quite a few years, and came back as the Chief Executive Officer about 3.5 years ago.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for your service. I know that you're you say it in a very unassuming way, but are you still in the reserves?
Still in the reserves. Got about 4 years left in the reserves.
Thank you very much for your service. We really appreciate that. And it's my understanding you were in the Navy. Jamie, tell me a little bit about what you do as the Chief Executive Officer of the Kennett Board of Public Works. Or should I say what you don't do?
Somebody asked me that today. He said, what's a typical day? I said, I run around with a fire extinguisher. So I take the board's vision and execute that. I look 3, 5, 10 years down the road. We have a chief operations officer who's the day-to-day guy, right? So the board says, hey, we want sanitation in 2 years. That's what they told us in 2023. So to lay that out, and then the operations officer breaks that down into quarterly, monthly things that have to take place, so that the long range vision of the board gets executed. That's my job, is to make sure the long-range stuff is happening.
And again, we're on Welcome to Luke with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Jamie Chester, who's graciously given us an hour of his day. He's the CEO of the Kennett Board of Public Works. And Jamie, you hit on a topic, the trash. But not only do you have trash, the Kennett Board of Public Works has several different departments that's all under one roof there at the Kennett Board of Public Works. Kind of what all is involved with the Kennett Board of Public Works?
So we've been in business for over 100 years. Back in 1910, we were actually city water. We started providing water service in the 20s. We got into the sewer business. In the 40s, when the Board of Public Works was actually formed, we started producing electricity in 41. In the 50s, we did a water treatment plant. 60s, we did a sewer lagoon out there that's south of town. In the 1980s, we bought the gas system, which was a pretty contentious issue at the time. Turns out to be one of the better decisions the board has ever made, is purchasing the gas system. 2000, we got into the internet world shortly thereafter, and before about 2007, we did fiber to the home. One of the few communities in the entire state at that time that was doing it. So we went from city water to city light and water, city light gas and water in the 80s. And if you remember old Saul Astrakan, he was the only person that ever called us CL, GW, and I when we got in the internet business. He was always a big supporter of us. So we did the internet world. Now we're doing sanitation. We just had a ribbon cutting for our transfer station south of town, which is right next to our 5-megawatt solar facility. So, yeah, we do it all. We do everything we can to provide the best service for our customers.
And again, we're on Welcome to Luke with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Jamie Chester, the CEO of the Kennett Board of Public Works. And, Jamie, I'd be remiss, how long have you been the CEO of the Kennett Board of Public Works now?
About 3.5 years. I've been back. Came back in, I guess, 2023, April of 23, I guess, 22. Time has absolutely flown.
Absolutely. And you indicated there's a lot going on with the Kennett Board of Public Works. You talked a lot about the solar farm. Touch a little bit on the solar farm that's going on for the Kennett Board of Public Works, if you don't care.
Yeah, it was an emergency lagoon that we haven't used in quite a long time. So it wasn't like we took some farmland, some prime ground, and decided we were going to put 30 acres of solar panels on there. It was ground that was pretty much useless. The only thing we did with it was mow it. We installed 5 megawatts of power, which that doesn't mean a whole lot to anybody. Our load typically, our peak load this year has been 29 megawatts. So, I guess we're about 20% of our load we're able to generate when the sun's shining, which is a great deal. Past that, when the sun's not shining, the wind's not blowing to turn the wind turbines, we've got some internal combustion engines, so they're actually running them today. So we got about 30 megawatts of generation there as well.
And again, we're on Welcome to Luke with Aaron Todd on Kennett, or excuse me, on KDX AM 1590, talking to Jamie Chester, the CEO of the Kennett Board of Public Works. And Jamie, one thing that a lot of people in the area may not be aware of is if you are on the power grid of the Kennett Board of Public Works, your bill all comes on one bill: water, sewer, gas, soon to be trash, and all that. But if you look at the rates in the surrounding community and areas, Kennett Board of Public Works is one of the cheapest suppliers of all that in the entire area. Is that not correct?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, we kind of pride ourselves on that. You know, in the state, we're in the bottom 10 in the entire state. In this area, we've done rate studies where I think there's one community within, you know, a 50-mile radius that has power cheaper than us, and they're across the river. The investor-owned utilities were 30-40% cheaper. The you know, some of the co-ops that are around the area were, you know, 17-18% cheaper than them. So yeah, we pride ourselves on that. You know, I mean, as bad as people think the rates are, they're still very, very inexpensive.
And again, you know, if you look around, if you go to Ameren, who's always asking for rate increases, or some of the other individuals, areas, if you talk to those people and then you talk and see what our rates are, the rates here in this area are extremely competitive, and I mean, I think they're impossible to beat. That's just my opinion. So, Jamie, and looking at the Kennett Board of Public Works, what are some of the things that you're looking down the road as far as, you know, during my time as CEO, this is some of the things I'm really focusing on, getting the Kennett Board of Public Works to a situation where when I retire that I'll be extremely pleased with what I've done.
Right. You know, I mentioned earlier about how old our water treatment plant is. I think that's the next goal for us, is to build a new water treatment facility. The one we got's getting kind of long in the tooth. Provides good drinkable water, no problems there. But it's just, you know, I mean, we're one, you know, catastrophic event away from having an issue there. So we're wanting to build a new water treatment facility that's fully redundant. On the back side of that, I would like to put some more generation in, about, you know, 18 megawatts of generation. Same type deal. The generators I spoke of earlier, there's 3 of them that were put in the 70s. Still run, you know, they got low time on them, but they, you know, I mean, we're one startup away from having a major catastrophic event there. So I'd like to have some redundancy on that as well. Get those 2 things done, and I could ride off into the sunset as a happy man.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Jamie Chester, the CEO of the Kennett Board of Public Works. And Jamie, a lot of people have no idea how the Board of Public Works actually does business. For those who don't know, kind of explain the hierarchy of how the Kennett Board of Public Works exists.
Okay. So, you know, I mentioned earlier, 1941, the board was created by a city ordinance. So what happens is where there's a 4-member board, and so every year somebody's rolling off. So the mayor appoints, and the council approves the members as they go. So every year, like I said, we have somebody coming off. If somebody has to get off for a specific, you know, different reason, somebody passes away, those type things, then the mayor does that as well. But they take over that. So there's always a member coming off every year. They can serve up to 3 terms before they have to roll off. We are a department of the city, but with our own separate board. We're governed by the board. We're not governed by the council or anything like that. So their oversight comes through the approval of the board members.
And I guess, Jamie, one thing that a lot of people want to know is if you're interested in becoming a board member for the Board of Public Works, who actually decides the policy and then also hires the CEO, that's all appointed by the mayor and approved by the city council. You need to talk to the mayor about all that.
Absolutely,
correct?
Right.
And then obviously you work with the board to create the policy and implement the policy that they kind of drive with your input, I'm sure.
Right.
And then tell me a little bit about the management. A lot of people don't know. Tell me a little bit. There's a chief executive officer, and then kind of where we're at as far as who are the next tier of management in the Board of Public Works.
Right. So with the board, like you said a minute ago, I'm the board's employee. So they employ me, and then you know, they allow me to select my team. Marty Johnson's the chief operations officer. I've got a chief human resources officer, is Jill Rickman, and our chief financial officer is Crystal Dennis. I've got couple of senior directors because the level that they're at, they have some other directors that report to them, Brian Branham and then Eric Wallace. And then each department then has a director at that point and a manager.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Loop with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Jamie Chittister, the CEO of the Kennett Board of Public Works. And Jamie, for those who don't know, so there'll be a director of the water department. There's a director of the sewer department. There's a director of the gas department. Is that all correct?
Correct.
And then those individuals will focus down. And there's also now a director, obviously, of the I guess the internet's what we call it, technology?
Yeah, IT, yeah.
IT. Mm-hmm. And then we're also going to have a director of the sanitation department. Is that correct?
Right.
And those individuals all report in somewhat of a hierarchy that's all laid out. And again, all these questions, and this is what always amazes me, Jamie, is if anyone has a question, all they have to do is call and ask, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, the phones are there. Our customer service representatives up front are amazing. If they don't have the answer, they will say, hey, let me either transfer you to who's got the answer, or I'll find the answer and call them back.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Loop with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Jamie Chittister, the CEO of the Kennett Board of Public Works. Jamie, kind of explain also, a thing that I'm always fascinated with is at one point, and I don't even know when it was, let's say 4 or 5 months ago, something went down with a electrical transmission line that was providing some power to the city. And the next thing I know, in about an hour, you had fired up the generators and the entire town was back up and running. How was that possible?
So the generation that we have, we can cover the entire city load. I told you we got about 31.5 megawatts of generation. Our peak load was 29. Today we're probably looking at a load of anywhere from 15 to 17. The temperature's pretty nice out, so not a lot of stuff, not a lot of air conditioners or heaters kicked on, which is good for us. Days like today, we're good. Days where it's hot, that's when we're going to need that additional generation. We call it running in island mode when we're disconnected from the outside world. Southwest Power Administration provides our power. We buy from them, and we got to the market. Evergy Energy Partners is who we buy power from. Say, hey, we've got this power from Southwest Power. We think our load's going to be this. They go out and do all that. They do all that for us. They predict our load. Go out. Most people, they flip a switch and the power comes on. They don't realize that power is being generated, in Oklahoma,
right?
Out of hydro, or in northern Arkansas, northwest Arkansas. Southwest Power Administration works with Southwest Power Resource Administration. So SPRA, they're the one that actually works with the Army Corps of Engineers to make sure these dams are working and the generators are cranking out electricity, and it's an entire integrated network that gets the power to us.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Loop with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Jamie Chittister, the CEO of Kennett Board of Public Works. And we're talking to Jamie a lot about what's going on. If you have a question about anything involving city water, city electricity, city trash, city anything, IT, call the number. The number for the service is 888-5366. I've called numerous times. I've bought several properties here in town, and I wanted to get things switched over, or I wanted to get a light out. The service is impeccable. I'm not saying that just because you're here. I think Kelly Smith works out front. Mm-hmm. She and I taught at Holcomb. I think this might be her second career, third career, or whatever. I've never been extremely friendly, nice folks. And a lot of times, Jamie, people who call are very upset because they're in a bad spot.
Right.
So they don't always handle things correctly. But the one thing we'd always say is if everyone would calm down and explain, we're all trying to get to the same spot, right. Correct?
Absolutely.
So, again, when you call those nice folks, just kind of listen, and they're trying to help you, but you have to realize this is the first they're hearing of your problem. Mm-hmm. So, again, and we're on Welcome to the Loop with Aaron Todd on the KDX AM 1590. And, Jamie, I guess my question next is we are going to have the trash issue. When are we going to have the trash started? Have we decided yet?
November 3rd is our first. That's the Monday that we are able to start picking up. So November 3rd, that Monday morning, we're going to be picking up trash. And again, we're not going to go into a lot of depth on the trash. If you have any questions about the trash, we can call that number, correct? Right. Cool. Reach out. Any information that you see on social media, look on the Kennett Board of Public Works website. That will all kind of explain a lot of it too, correct? Yeah, it's there. The information's there. We're pushing it out. This is new to us, new to them, to the customers. I'm sure there will be some hiccups, but we're going to work through it. It's what we do. I mean, we did that when we started the internet business. We did that when we purchased the gas business. So we're going to work through it. And we're going to provide a good service. And
again, Jamie, the one thing I'm kind of interested in, you talked a little bit about the water treatment facility. In order to do that, how would we go about securing a new water treatment facility would be the most economical in your particular idea range?
Right. So we're working with some engineers and architects currently. People saw a new charge show up on their bill about a year and a half ago, a capital improvement fee. We decided to go that route so that typically when rates go up, they never go back down. So we decided, hey, we'll do this capital improvements, help get this water treatment facility paid for, paid off, and then when it's done, when the facility's built, that falls off, that goes away. Where if we added it into a rate increase, then that's hard. It's hard to pull that back. I've never seen a government entity say, okay, hey, we're gonna lower rates. So that was our way of avoiding that.
And not to kind of put you on the hot seat, but kind of where were you at in the regard to that planning stage, would you say?
So we have visited some existing plants. We've drilled a test well. The results came back from that good. We've got a couple of wells in town that have been having some issues. So we went to the north a ways to get out of that problem. And what we're looking at there is, we've got a contract to purchase property based on the well producing and the wells producing. So we're going to have the city execute that contract. Kennett Board of Public Works doesn't own any property. It's all in the city's name. So we're going to ask them to execute that contract, get that property done, and then start the process.
And then we also, again, we're welcome to Luke with Aaron on KDX AM 1590 with Jamie Chester, CEO of the Kennett Board of Public Works. Talk a little bit about the, how do I say it? The long-range vision of Jamie as the CEO, the wastewater facility is something that he thinks is, and I agree, is something you have to look at. And then you talk a little bit about another electrical producer. Is that? And I'm using the wrong terminology, and I apologize for that. But what are you trying to talk about? What are you wanting to do there?
So electric generators. If you go by, if you hear those generators running, they're either testing them or they're saving money. Again, back to the Evergy Energy Partners, they go out and look. We can produce power right now currently for about $38. And depending on what the market's doing, and it varies by every 5 minutes, but they say, hey, on this hour, we think power is going to be $110. Well, we're not going to go out and buy power from the market for $110 when we can generate it for $38. So if you go by and you hear those generators running, it's saving the ratepayers money. So we can do more of that. Instead of saying, hey, we're only going to generate 12, load this, that, the other, we still got to go out and buy 5 megawatts at $110. Well, we're not, we want to have more generation so that we can cover everything.
So again, I guess it's my understanding that we can produce enough for the city right now because we can produce about 31.
Right.
And but sometimes we require more than that. Is that correct?
Well, about 29 is our peak. But what we get into is those 3 older generators I was telling you about. They run on diesel fuel or dual fuel.
Right.
So if they're running 100% diesel, it's considerably more expensive than because they're not nearly as efficient as the newer generation we have.
And in the event that we are going to the newer generation, I think this is very fascinating, and I appreciate the in-depth look because a lot of people are like want to complain about things but not know what would the new generational items run on if not diesel.
So, well, it's natural gas, and that goes to my point earlier where the board back in the 80s, I think 81, 2, they bought it and actually closed the deal and assumed possession in like late 83. So now we are the natural gas company. Some of these people have generators, but they're just a gas customer. So if the gas company has an issue, they just go to them and turn their meter off and put a lock on it. Say, hey, sorry, you've got the generation there. You don't have fuel source. So we avoided that by doing that. So natural gas is what our 2 newer generators are. We'll probably looking at some natural gas and one of them being natural gas, one of them being a dual fuel kind of thing. But we're going to work through that with the engineers and see what the best route to go is.
And again, we're on Welcome to Luke with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Jamie Chester, the CEO of the Kennett Board of Public Works. And Jamie, one thing that I've always found was fascinating is the city seems to always have a very good relationship with the school with an internship program. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, we love it.
Kind of explain to the listeners a little bit about what that is.
So we hire. We actually got a meeting coming up in a couple of weeks with the students, and to let them know what we offer. We've got mechanics, so we pull some of the kids from there, work with our mechanics. We try to stay away from like the electricity side of things because people could get hurt there. Some kids that are mechanically inclined, we'll take them and put them in the water distribution department. They work for us. They get paid. Get something to put on the resume besides a fast food gig or something like that. And we've hired actually about 6 kids out of that program. I call them kids. I mean, we got 6 employees now that we got to look at, evaluate. Hey, we really like this guy. He works hard. We're going to find a spot for him.
And I would say, looking at some of the people who are working for the city, they're getting a little bit older, getting towards retirement. And I think this is a way that not only can we help with the kids who are wanting to find some kind of trade or occupation, it will also help you fill those positions as they kind of retire and go about their business. Is that correct?
It is. It's definitely. I mean, we've got Randy Cook just celebrated earlier this month of 42 years of service to the citizens of Kennett. We that's exactly what we're doing. We've got a big gap, between these older employees and these younger guys, and finding fits for them, for the good ones.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Jamie Chittister, the CEO of the Kennett Board of Public Works. And Jamie, I'd be remiss. We were talking a little earlier. Obviously, you're a native of Kennett. Your wife is also a native of Kennett.
Yep.
And we can talk about her a little bit.
Sure. She likes when I talk about her. No, I say native of Kennett, but Kennett was really the only school I went to 2 years in a row. We've been together since '91. So my senior year. It was her, I guess, sophomore, junior year. So she kind of anchored me, grounded me. We've got 2 fantastic kids. Been married for 27 years.
And I know that when you say that, you do have 2 outstanding kids, and I want you to talk a little bit about, first of all, Drew.
Drew, yeah.
What's Drew doing now?
My dude, he's an ICU nurse over at St. Bernard's.
Absolutely.
He's loving it. To see his eyes light up when he talks about serving people, taking care of people is really, really amazing. He loves it. I guess I did something right because my daughter's following in the healthcare footsteps, serving people and wanting to pass the NCLEX here in the next week or 2, and then become a nurse herself. She wants to work in an ER. And
we would be in extreme amount of trouble if we didn't give her a shout out.
Caitlin. Yep.
And she's going to be a nurse as well. We're very excited about that. And then, one thing I've been doing the show for a while now, and again, we're Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, and I've interviewed a lot of people about from the school area. And one thing that is also your in-laws, your mother-in-law, well-known educator for years and years and years, art instructor. Is that correct?
Right.
Suzanne Baker.
Right.
And I can't tell you the number of people who've told me about the Veretta Sexton years, the Dennis Nail years, and the Susan Baker years.
Right.
And I know that you probably get tired of hearing about that, but I think it's very important that we also mention that on the air because it was the golden era of, and I think we're building it back here in Kennett, hopefully with Mr. Bush and some of the other individuals who are handling that. So, we're very excited about that. So please tell, and of course your father-in-law, who doesn't love Terry Baker. Well, sometimes you may not, but I'm not going to tell him that. That's right. Yeah. And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Jamie Chittister, the CEO of Kennett Board of Public Works. And Jamie, I know that as the CEO, you wake up every day and you think to yourself, how can I make the Board of Public Works not only the best provider for all of the citizens, but also provide the best value for the residents of Kennett. Is that correct?
It is. You'd ask my employees, and for the first couple of years I was there, our approach to our budgeting system, how our planning, all of that stuff, it changed drastically. It wasn't, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is what you did last year. This is what we're going to do next year. It was, hey, let's see where we can cut. Let's see where we can, I had somebody come up to me and was like, what are we doing with all this money we're saving? And it's like, well, we're not saving $1. If we do save $1, That's $1 we don't have to take from a customer. So we're not taking that and putting it in a bank anywhere. We're saving it so we don't have to take it from our ratepayers.
And I think a lot of people are confused because this is not a for-profit industry. You're trying to provide the best service at the best rate for the citizens of Kennett, correct?
Absolutely. Yep.
And a lot of things that we could talk a lot about stuff like you done. One of the things I liked, and a lot of people may or may not have liked it, was I like the fact that we all pay the bill at the same time. There for a while, I had 2 or 3 different dates in which I had bills due. I never could understand what was going on with that. But now it's all one billing. I like the fact that you can put it, on your card. You can do the billing of, hey, let's budget it all together and go from there. So how did you decide to do all that?
So it was by necessity why we had 3 different cycles, because we had guys that were going around and reading every single meter in town, electric, gas, water. And those guys would have to walk, miles a day, every day, and they just couldn't get to it. So we had to break them up into 3 billing cycles. Before I came back, they did automated metering infrastructure, AMI, which now all the electric meters, talking to the water meters and the gas meters. So everything's out there. We can click a button and within an hour, read every single meter in town. So we went to a new billing system that allows us to do that. Put a plug in here for Smart Hub. If you guys aren't on Smart Hub, go to the website kbpw.net. Over on the right hand side, there's Smart Hub. You can see what your daily usage is. It tracks the temperature and your electric usage or your gas usage and what the temperature is. It's really a lot of information there. We've got a thing where we used to call people when they had water leaks. You can see your own water leaks now if you have something going on. But yeah, so we I guess about 2 years ago we decided we were going to go to a single billing cycle. And you're right, because if somebody was used to paying a bill on the 3rd and they moved across town, now their bill's due on the 24th. Well, bills are all due on the 14th now. No matter where you're at in town, when your bill is getting sent out and when it's due.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Loop with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Jamie Chittister, the CEO of the Kennett Board of Public Works, and we're talking a lot about Jamie, a lot of the changes that he did, and I think a lot of them were necessary for the implementation of technology that had been brought on there at the Board of Public Works. The whole ability to get on your phone or the computer and find out exactly what your daily usage is amazing to me. I mean, if you said that was going to happen 10 years ago, would you have believed that was going to be the process?
Not at all. Not at all.
And then, let's talk a little bit also, the IT department. The IT department has probably the best internet service in the entire area. Talk a little bit about the IT that you have there at Kennett Board of Public Works.
Yeah, bar none. It's the best internet in town. We've been doing the fiber to the home since 2007. We're on 2nd generation electronics. We've done it so long that we've had to pull everything out and replace it all. Matt Allen is the director there. Has got a phenomenal crew. They do great work. When you do hear of an outage, it's 99 out of 100 times a doggone squirrel has got up there and kept chewing until it got into the glass that runs the fiber optic network, and then it's broken. And those guys, they bird dog it till they find the problem and get it fixed. And
again, we're on Welcome to the Loop with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Jamie Chittister, the CEO of the Kennett Board of Public Works. And you're coming up on your 3rd anniversary, is that right?
3.5, yeah, 3.5.
Almost 4 years. Mm-hmm. Seems like it's been
100.
It
has been a lot of changes, Darren.
There has been a lot of change. And let's kind of go through some of the other changes that you want to, talk about. And change is not always easy. And I think, with social media and things of that nature, people can hear things and say, you know what, I think that I'm just going to say something that's totally untrue. But what are some of the changes that you would like to let the listeners know that you've done while you've been at the Board of Public Works that you think is a benefit to the taxpayers and the users of the internet or the system there?
Right. So, the change in the budgeting system, these internal things really, I think, save money, but at the same time, you just rates, everything we buy goes up, so those costs have to be passed on, unfortunately. We try to limit that as much as we can. I tell you something what we're wanting to do externally, and Lisa Ross and her team are working on this, and we're going to get it done. Just don't know when exactly, is prepay. So it's just like an old prepaid phone. You can you can come in, put some money down, and have that much utilities until that money runs out. She's working diligently to get that up and going. That's people that can't afford a big deposit, because we base deposits on credit scores and what the usage is at that property. So somebody may come in and have a $700, $800 deposit, and they just can't afford to pay that. So what we can do is put these people on prepay, which will take care of that. That'll eliminate having to come up with that big chunk of money up front. So that's a big change that we're working hard to implement right now.
And I guess, Jamie, the question I look at is, the fluctuation on your bill is a lot of due to weather conditions of that nature. And a lot of people are also confused by the fact of, if it's 100 degrees outside, you can hit that air conditioner down to 62, but it's only going to do what it can do. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people think, well, if I hit it down to 62, why isn't it immediately going down to 62? That's not how it works. But it is going to cause your bill to go up. So sometimes you have to realize you have to plan for these things. Just like in the winter months when it's a little bit, colder, you have to run the heat a little bit more, and you kind of have to plan. What can people do to kind of assist in those kind of issues?
So the Smart Hub is going to be where it's at. So you can see, like I said, daily what your water, electric, gas usage is. Because what happens is, Darren, is 28 days ago we had a stretch of 100-degree days that were 4, 5, 6 days long. Well, then it cooled off. Well, you forget about that, because it was 28 days ago. So then the bill comes in and my bill's high, and you're like, holy smokes, what is this from? Because we've forgotten what the temperature was a month ago. But the Smart Hub, I think, would not train you, but it's going to give you a lot of information to let you see more clearly what's going on with your utility bill.
And forgive me for asking this, but I think this is something that needs to be out there to the listeners. The Smart Hub, how do I go about getting on the Smart Hub process or program?
So again, kbpw.net. There's a green in the upper right hand corner. There's a link that's highlighted in green. Or back to our amazing CSRs. You call up, and they can, if you've got an email address on file, they can shoot you an email link. Click on the link, boom, it's done.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Jamie Chittister, the CEO of the Kennett Board of Public Works. And one thing, Jamie, a lot of people don't realize is the number of employees that the Kennett Board of Public Works actually employs. Do you have a number of about how many employees you're employing right now?
About 65, 66 employees right now, amongst all the departments.
And then we talked about Randy Cook, who had been there, I think he said 42 years.
42 years.
Kind of explain to the listeners, we also are very lucky in that we have some of the premier electricians and linemen in all of Missouri. Kind of how do we keep those individuals and keep that process to where we get do we have a training facility that we go to, or do we have an internship program? What do we do there?
So we bring them on. We're kind of unique, is we bring them on, and then we use Missouri Public Utility Alliance, who's our state organization, and we put them through a 4-year process. So they're doing on the job training, but they're also going through I would say classroom work, because it's not in the classroom, but they have tests they take quarterly, and then as they progress, then they become, a journeyman lineman. They'll be an apprentice lineman after they pass their exams, and then as they work through and finish the 4 years, then they become journeyman linemen. How we keep those guys is the work environment. I mean, the environment that Randy Cook has built in his department is, it's unmatched. I mean, it's literally, I hate to say it because it sounds cliche, but it's like a family. When you think of family, a lot of dysfunctional families, but I mean, the teamwork there is out of this world. He just asks, and somebody steps up and fixes it, takes care of the problem.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Jamie Chittister, CEO of the Kennett Board of Public Works. And I'm going to throw a little scenario out there, and you're going to say, Darren, I don't know why you're talking about this. But I can remember on St. Francis Street, just a little bit ways from a piece of property I owned, there was a car that had managed to hit a utility pole. The utility pole was knocked down. It was, of course, raining. It was cold. I can remember Randy coming out with his crew. I can also remember you coming out and stopping traffic right there in front of Bill's. I don't know if you remember that. And I think at the time you were the CEO.
Yes.
And you were out there turning the stop sign back and forth for the traffic. And I don't know if you remember that or not, but that's kind of what you're talking about as far as family, correct?
Right. The guys were shorthanded. We had a water leak there in front of Bill's at that time, and the department was shorthanded. I was on the way home, and they needed some safety help there, so just pulled over and did that. Marty does that a lot. Jill does that a lot. If the crews are out working, it's hot, we'll take them some water. If they've been out there for 6 or 8 hours working on a busted water main, they take some pizza out there. It's taking care of the people that take care of our people.
And again, we're on Welcome to Luke with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Jamie Chittister, the CEO of Kennett Board of Public Works. Jamie, again, a lot of people will say, well, my power's out. Why isn't it immediately back on? You have to remember that most of the time when the power out, it's not perfect conditions out here in that they're working in. So, it's either extremely cold, it's wet, you're dealing with electricity, things of that nature. It's in the middle of the night. They've been called and woken up from a deep sleep, and they're coming out here. So please give these individuals some patience as they're trying to get because like you say, most people come in and if they flip that switch and it's not on, the world's coming to an end. And I think after you've taken over as the CEO, you realize there's a lot more to it than that, isn't there?
Absolutely, there is. It's really is unbelievable the amount of stuff that goes into that. Our tree trimming department, part of the electric department, makes it so our outages are a lot less than they would be. They do a great job at clearing the lines so that when the wind blows or a branch does break, it doesn't fall across the primary and cause a major outage. This new software we've got has outage management, so it helps our guys know exactly where to go, to start troubleshooting. They don't have to just run out, a half-mile line. They know kind of where to go to start figuring out the problem.
And, a lot of people, and I haven't even talked about this, is the tree trimming process. A lot of people are like, why in the world is Board of Public Works in the tree trimming business? And you explained it exactly right, correct? It's because if they fall on the line's going to go down. So we have to keep those kind of clear and open for that way for everybody's best usage, correct?
Yeah, and some people think, okay, the tree in my backyard is grown up. I need you to trim it. Those are secondary lines. We only trim primary lines throughout the city. People it's electricity. It's a power line. They don't know the difference between the two. And a lot of people get upset that we're not going to trim a line that only feeds their house. We're worried about that's feeding hundreds of houses. So that's where we're at.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590. Talking to Jamie Chittister, who's agreed to give us an hour of his day that he probably doesn't have. He's Jamie. When you have 15 minutes of free time, what do you enjoy doing?
Oh, hanging out with the wife. Really do. I joke around. I typically wake up about 4 o'clock in the morning. For whatever reason it is, and we had a couple ribbon cuttings, and I was joking around with some guys, and my 20 minutes of wake up time that morning was I got to write my speeches, but it's just whatever the pressing matter is happening, from about 4 to 4:20, and I'm typically able to go back to sleep. But if I got some time, I like hanging out with the wife.
And you indicated there's a couple of ribbon cuttings. Kind of explain to the listeners what a couple of ribbon cuttings were.
So it was our transfer station was one of them, and then the other one was the solar field that we talked about earlier. Our transfer station is open to the public. Anybody can bring anything out there. Our prices are posted on the KBPW site / sanitation. You can find the prices there. It's the rubbish, the yard waste, those type things will still go to the compost. The trash, anything else you could think of that's not hazardous waste, we'll take it to the transfer station.
And one thing that I'd like to talk to you about is a lot of people have old electronics. Things like older computers, TVs, things like that. Is that something that you would take out there?
Yeah, we'll do that. The batteries, those type things, those are if a lithium-ion battery gets punctured, it basically turns into a road flare. It causes a fire. We take tires out there as long as they're not on the rim. There's different prices for those. A bicycle tire we don't, but a car tire is different than a tractor tire.
Right.
So we got those prices posted as well.
And it's all on the website there,
right.
Correct? And again, we're welcome to Luke with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Jamie Chitster. Jamie's the CEO of the Kennett Board of Public Works. Jamie, talk a little bit about something that I think that a lot of people don't know about. Talk a little bit about your military career. I know that you don't like talking about that because you don't want to bring attention to yourself, but I'm very impressed by that, and I think a lot of people need to know more about what you've done for our country.
Well, right out of high school, joined the Navy. Joined the Navy, see the world, right?
Right.
And I literally did. The time I was, I guess I was underway 24 to 27 months that I was in. Got out, was out for 16 years, and missed the camaraderie, missed the guys, missed having a lot of like-minded folks around you. So I joined the reserves back in 2012, and I've been enjoying it ever since. I drilled down at Millington. It's the HR headquarters, if you will. It's a Naval Personnel Command, they call it. It's the HR headquarters of the entire United States Navy, the active duty Navy. So spending my time there, picked up, I guess, a Chief Petty Officer, E7, kind of a big deal. 1% of the Navy actually picks up E7 or above. So I like it. It's enjoyable. The benefits are good. Back when I got out of high school, joined the Navy, got out, used the GI Bill to go to college. First person in my family to ever go to college, and used the VA benefits to buy my first house. So it's been a good gig for me.
And again, we're going to welcome the Luke with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Jamie Chitster, CEO of the Kennett Board of Public Works. And Jamie, you said out of the 24, you were on.
I was underway 24 of 27 months.
And I should know that it means you were like on the boat actually going places.
Out to sea.
So you weren't just in like Bremerton, Washington, hanging out, waiting for the boat to get fixed. Where all were you at for those 24 months? And again, I know you don't like talking about this, but this is something that's very fascinating to me. Did you see the world?
Yeah, I did. My first duty station was in Staten Island, New York. That base was, they were closing that down, but that's where they sent me. We went down to Norfolk, Virginia. After that, I flew to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, caught my ship there, that was coming, my next ship. We decommissioned the first one, sold it to the Turkish Navy. Caught that one, came back. They were down there doing workups to go on deployment, so that's when we went to, did a Mediterranean cruise, they call it. So Spain, Italy, France, Greece. We carried the 24th MEU. I think some of the local guys have been, a bunch of the Marines. I think some of them have served with the 24th MEU. But anyways, we took those guys up into the Ukraine. That was the first operations that the Marines had ever done. Again, that was back in 94, 95. So, talk about the Ukraine, Russia war, all that stuff. But this was back then, and that was the first operations. We were one of the few U.S. ships that ever gone up into the Black Sea there.
And forgive me for asking me this, but what ship were you on?
That was the USS Pensacola. It was a dock landing ship, amphibious ship. We carried the LCACs, those hovercraft that blow around. I just read an article the other day where the armored attack vehicles, the AAVs that we carried, they're actually decommissioning those after 50 years of service. So.
And when you were there back in the 90s, did you ever think that was going to take place?
No.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Loop with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Jamie Chitster, the CEO of the Kennett Board of Public Works, talking about a little bit about his naval career, still in the reserves, and you've indicated your rank now is?
Chief Petty Officer, E7.
Which is, as you indicated, an amazing feat. How much longer do you think you're going to be in the reserves?
About 4 years. I got about 4 years left. August was my 16-year mark. So.
Now, Jamie, I know you, and you say 4 years, but does that mean 8?
That means it's going to be 4. I'm gonna finish that chapter, close that book, and move on. I mean, it's something people that serve in the military, the veterans out there, you've heard it say, hey, my oath, it has no expiration date, and it doesn't. So if 10 years from now, if I'm able, if I'm 60 years old and they need a chief or a senior chief petty officer, if I get promoted between now and then, I'll do it. I'll gladly do it. All enemies, foreign and domestic.
And let me ask you this, Jamie. You've indicated that you were out of high school. You joined the military. You were able to use the GI Bill. Is it a situation in which more kids that age should join the military and and figure out what they want to do? Do you understand what my question is?
Yeah.
And I know it's not for everybody, but it seems like, hey, if I can't really find my way, or I'm looking for this, and not that you couldn't find your way, but I think it gives you structure.
Absolutely. I think I'm of the belief that everybody should have to serve a minimum of 2 years, like some of these other countries do, because you would appreciate the country, you would appreciate what you have more. I don't think every kid needs to go to college. I think that's a big part of this internship is offering these kids, that are mechanically inclined, that just have zero desire to go to college. Well, they don't have anything lined up after that. I don't think people should join the military for the GI Bill and the VA benefits and things like that. It's to serve the country, and that's what I did. But I mean, the side benefit of that was the benefits after I got out. But if kids are wanting to see the world, join the Navy. You're wanting to have a good lifestyle, or what you want to do. The Air Force is a pretty good gig. The Army and Marine Corps, they kill people and break things. So if that's what your desire is. Those guys there's something else. I mean, they're a different level of service.
Absolutely. Again, we're welcome to the booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590. Talking to Jamie Chittister, CEO of the Kennett Board of Public Works. And Jamie, I know that you would be remiss, and I would not be able to live this down if I didn't ask you your current board of directors. There's 4 of them that's kind of helping you with the policy issues and things of that nature. Kind of explain on a day-to-day basis, how often do you talk to those individuals?
In a perfect world, I don't talk to them until the board meetings. So, the first and third Tuesdays of the month. Typically, what happens is they'll get a call. Somebody will go around us. To your point earlier, dial 888-5366. Ask any question you want. If the CSRs can't, directors can't. It'll eventually land at my desk, and if I can't, then that's the logical next step. But some people just jump around that. So I would say, I don't know, less than once a week that I hear from the board, because I guess that means things are running good. Our board president now, John Robertson, he from time to time he'll text me, message me. We got I guess Townie Sparks is the vice president. Townie Senior is the vice president. Randy Baker is the secretary, and then Tony Parr is the other member of our board. So they don't call me every day and like, how are things going? They know that's what they hired me to do, and if I've heard it once, I've heard it 1,000 times when I ask them a question. Well, that's what we hired you for. That's why we hired you, so we don't have to make those decisions.
Absolutely. Again, we're welcome to the booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590. Talking to Jamie Chittister, CEO of the Kennett Board of Public Works. And I'm going to ask you a couple other questions. We got about 5 minutes left here, Jamie. Okay. And I appreciate you giving me this much time, because I know you're covered up with the things that you do, and you do a great job. I want to go on the record and saying that. If I was interested in just taking a tour of the facility, the Kennett Board of Public Works, and I know there's some areas that would require certain things. Would I be able to do that? Could I go to the water treatment plant? Could I go to the solar farm and kind of just look around? How does that work? I mean,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you sure can. I mean, we do it. We do it for the schools. Alan Jones, the director of the power plant, he loves it, man. He turns into a kid himself when those kids get around.
Absolutely,
he loves. Showing the South School kids, and we do it every year. We go to the schools, do safety week. Billy Horton goes and teaches about dig right, safety, because he's our locator. But yes, I mean, if anybody wants to take a tour, call the office. We'll set it up. We don't want people just walking in the power plant there, or knocking on the water treatment plant door. But yeah, I mean, we're owned by the city. We're owned by you. We're owned by the citizens of Kennett. So we have nothing to hide. If it's your plant. So we'd love for you guys to come take a look at it.
And one other thing, the meeting, I believe, do you have a meeting once a month?
Twice a month. The first and third Tuesdays.
Tuesdays, and I know it's in the boardroom there at the city. I apologize. Board of Public Works office. There on Cedar Street.
Yeah, 303 South Anthony.
South Anthony. I'm not getting this. I'm getting this all wrong.
Yeah, well, City Hall is on Cedar, and we're over there at 303 South Anthony. We typically kick off lunch about 11:30. Whenever we get done eating, 11:50, 12 o'clock, and they'll convene the meeting.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Jamie Chittister, CEO, Kennett Board of Public Works. And Jamie, you hit on a topic, and we're winding down here, but I think it's very important. when you and I were in school, we're about the same age. It was taught to us that everybody has to go to college to be successful. And nowadays, we have a shortage of what? Plumbers, tradesmen, electricians, things of that nature. What can we do to kind of solve that problem? And that's just, it's not really a Board of Public Works. It's just you have been in that field and know what's going on. What do we need to do to help that issue?
I think, the schools, I think Dr. Leaker and Lance Penn, they see that. They see the need for it. When we were in school, we had all those things. We had building trades. We had all that stuff. They see the need for it, and I think they've got a plan in place. I'm not privy to any special information, but just we've had these talks. I've had these talks with Lance, like, hey, I could really use these kids if we could get them. You call a plumber, and I hate to say this, but you call a plumber at 501, and you're going to pay him as much as you pay your attorney, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, just to show up in your parking in your driveway, but people don't think so. That people think, okay, hey, I've got to go get this master's degree. I got to get this. I've got to get that to, do that. But I mean, an electrician, you could write your own paycheck if you wanted to.
And again, and we're welcome to Luke with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590. Talking to Jamie Chittister, CEO of the Kennett Board of Public Works. Jamie's celebrating his almost 4 years there at the Board of Public Works. I hope we get to have a party for that. When was your official hire date, Jamie?
April 16th, I think. April 16th, yeah.
Okay, outstanding. So
22.
It's going to be rolling around here April 16th. That's tax day.
Right, yeah, right after. Yep.
Yeah. And we're talking to Jamie Chittister, the CEO of the Kennett Board of Public Works. And Jamie is not only a Navy veteran, he's also a Kennett graduate, extremely volunteer oriented, two great kids, outstanding wife, outstanding in-laws, outstanding family man. Jamie, as we're kind of winding down, is there anything that you kind of want to leave the listeners with about the Kennett Board of Public Works that we haven't really talked about?
Well, back to how the hierarchy and how it's structured, and us being a department but run by our own board. A lot of what we do is governed by city ordinances. We have our own rules and regulations and policies that we follow, but a lot of what we do is governed by the city council. We're not just out here running amok, trying to gouge customers, but you know that as well as I do, that our rates are low. So I mean, we're here to serve our ratepayers, to provide what we can to make this city grow. I think our relationship with the actual city right now, is the best it's ever been. And I've got people that have been on boards and been around for 20, 30 years, and they're like, hey, yeah, this is the best it's ever been. Dealing with the mayor now, it's like, hey, if the Board of Public Works cannot hire this guy and use us, then that's savings for the ratepayers, and vice versa. If we can go over there and pull a generator off of a roof and set it down, or pull an air conditioner, that's money that the taxpayers don't have to pay. And I guess that's another point is, we're not tax based, we're ratepayer based. We don't get money from taxes. We don't do any of that. It's strictly based on what we buy from the market and sell to our customers.
And again, on behalf of Jamie Chittister, the CEO of the Kennett Board of Public Works, so I'm extremely excited he gave me an hour of his time. We've been trying to schedule this for a while. He's been extremely busy, got a lot going on. Again, thank you very much for coming in. I really appreciate it. And on behalf of Welcome to Luke with Aaron Todd on KDX AM 1590, with behalf of my producer, Misty Hankins, my executive producer, Evan Todd, thank you for joining us this afternoon. I hope you have an excellent day and a better tomorrow.